In this short video, I'm gonna share with you 6 amazing ideas for a Righteous Fire rework and how we might actually see it in Path of Exile 2. But first, we need to answer the question, what is Righteous Fire? Righteous Fire is one of the most iconic skills in Path of Exile 1, so much so that some content creators have made a career out of it. A guy so tired of answering the same questions over and over that he decided to build an entire website, and a father who enjoys the simplicity of a walking simulator after managing minions all day at home. The skill is quite simple. You burn yourself and others by sacrificing life and energy shield in the process. So it's not surprised that the thing that comes to mind when thinking about this skill is the word sacrifice. What do we sacrifice? Well, ourselves. What do we get in return? Power, temperance, and an unyielding will. The belief that with great power comes a great burden. But there is some silver lining here, as the word burden can mean many things. In this universe, burden will not take the form of responsibility like it would do in the MCU, for example. Here, the word is all about unwavering faith, self-harm, and the consequences of tampering with magic outside of our control. We are nothing but the conduit for such power, and as a wire can burn when too much energy goes through it, so can we. Finally, we have to point out another theme which surrounds this skill and is very common in all fiction. That will be the one of the Paladin of Truth, the Force of Light, and the Judicator of Gods. It's all about you being the righteous servant, wielding and channeling your god's power to kill those who oppose it while calling it justice. Based on those definitions and the fact that we are no longer gonna play with just 1 or 2 buttons, I've designed a few concepts for Righteous Fire archetypes in Path of Exile 2. Let's take a look. First one is gonna be Righteous Sacrifice. Blood boils as you endure the pummeling. This is for those with an unbreakable spirit and the will to carry on. Your body resonates upon taking damage, and the sound of metal against metal marks the rhythm of your temperate conviction. You will gain resonance stacks when taking damage, emitting a rhythmic pulse around yourself which deals physical damage to nearby enemies. Each stack will increase its frequency and how far it can vibrate, but it will also reduce your armor drastically. When you gain maximum resonance, you gain immunity to stuns and slows. I just love the concept of an unstoppable juggernaut in the middle of the battlefield, covered in broken iron and blood with a bunch of arrows stuck everywhere, and you see that every time he gets pummeling with a hammer, or instead of falling, he actually gains momentum and he's coming straight at you. This is obviously a version of Righteous Fire if it were to be redesigned as a physical spell for those who want to scale both offensiveness and tankiness through damage mitigation. If you want to see instead an elemental Righteous Fire, check out this next one right here called Searing Fire. The Lightkeepers burns the brightest with the ashes of life. You essentially become a herald of the cleansing fire, disintegrating the light of clarity to fan the flames of the inferno. Your body blazes as everything surrounding you burns to a crisp. Whenever you deal fire damage, your inner flame will increase its intensity and heat, meaning that you will benefit from using different skills that deal this type of damage. Obviously, this skill itself doesn't count, but even the brighter star can be extinguished if you are not careful. As the heat rises, you will start to also take all that fire damage, so some sort of elemental mitigation is essential to not burn down instantly. Additionally, every now and then, monsters killed by you, while this skill is active, can drop sparks. When you collect them by simply going near them, you will get a small amount of life back, a boost of life regeneration, and a little bit of movement speed. This is more of a Fire Dim Righteous Fire, closer to PoE 1, but not quite. It does fire damage around you, but it does require to use multiple skills to feed the flames and become stronger over time. But what can happen if we abandon the Fire Dim completely and just focus on the magic element instead? Then we will have Arcanist Trance. Casting different spells in quick succession is very taxing for the mind and could disrupt the flow of power. That unstable energy creates a convergence around you, which deals lightning damage to all surrounding enemies while increasing the cost of your spells drastically over time. Hits from the convergence always shock. Maybe a shorter description, but I think it's enough to put the point across. You become a spell weaver, another exile just lasting for power. You cast multiple spells to charge up like a Christmas tree. It's just a matter of how much mana you have to spare and how far are you willing to take it. After all, what could go wrong here in Reckless, right? Now, the next one is quite a unique idea, and it plays a little bit with the idea of a righteous zealot who cleanses the impurity in the name of innocence. And it's called Righteous Cleanse. Channel the divine light within you to cast a cleansing nova around yourself, which cleanses buffs and debuffs. Those buffs and debuffs will feed the holy flame to burn even brighter, blinding and igniting all enemies that come near you for a few seconds. Also, you recover a percentage of your maximum life per buff cleansed and gain immunity to cleansed debuffs for 8 seconds. This will be mostly for those who really dig the paladin healer archetype. You walk the battlefield covered in divine light and you just create a huge nova that cleanses the battlefield. You remove all the buffs from enemies and also from yourself, and you cleanse all debuffs, becoming even stronger. Let's just say that you are the embodiment of Inarius from Diablo 4, but less lame. Unfortunately, some exiles more often than not stray away from the path of righteousness and fall into corruption. That's why we have Corrupting Flame. Sometimes we fail to control and yield those higher powers and their wills eventually overthrow ours. This time we are transformed into a corrupted acolyte. Our blood runs dense and black, our sight taken by darkness. We are neither dead nor alive. Anything decays in our presence, taking huge amounts of chaos damage over time, ourselves included. To avoid sharing the same fate as the enemies and to stop the insatiable hunger inside us, we sacrifice others in our place. While active, Corrupting Flame will prioritize your minions instead of yourself to feed itself. Enemies affected by this skill are also hindered and cannot regenerate life. Finally, while in this form, you take 20% of all elemental damage as chaos damage. This skill is obviously inspired by Death Aura from Path of Exile 1, specifically for the unique, and I thought it would be quite interesting to give minion builds some extra fun stuff. Having extra ways to support your minions or even enable new builds by degenning them could be quite useful. Lastly, I want to give you the closest thing to regular Righteous Fire in Path of Exile 1 that I think could exist in Path of Exile 2 without compromising too much with the non-button playstyle, and that is Infernal Sacrifice. In a desperate gambit of raw power, your character channels his very essence into a searing blaze of destruction. As the flames ignite, an intense aura of flames envelops you, roaring with primal fury and searing the flesh. This infernal aura burns with unstoppable force, incinerating all who dares to approach. Enemies caught within this devastating conflagration are scorched and consumed by the unrelenting heat. This skill works similar to Winter's Orb in some sense, but less clunky. You can hold down the skill button at any time while moving to start draining your character's life force, sacrificing 30% of your maximum life and energy shield per second until they run out. While channeling, the air will start to spark and burn in a huge area, dealing fire damage over time to all surrounding enemies. Once you are done channeling, all flames will converge around you in a blazing vortex, dealing massive damage in a small area. This idea is to channel the skill while moving, burning normal and magic monsters to a crisp, and then letting go when fighting rare or unique monsters, as you will need to intensify your flames. One button build with good clear and built-in single target mechanic, if you stack enough life or energy shield. And that will be all for today. I would like to thank my good brother Silver for inspiring me creating this video. He's making a series where he creates Path of Exile 2 ascendancies, and the other day I saw one for the Berserker, and it was so fucking broken for a Righteous Fire build that I had no other option than to make this video. Also, if you love the mercenary and blowing things to pieces, I made 4 ascendancies for that class you don't want to miss. So go ahead and take a look. See you again on the next video, and once again, thank you, take care, and un abrazo.